10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, it's Dan, Superfan Dan from California. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Through Black and White Eyes Q&A session with Helen and me. Just to remind everybody, it's to please share and subscribe and hype this channel. We're always out there looking for new listeners. It's free, it costs you nothing. You can donate or you can become a member. Let me show you. For as little as 99p. I'll turn that off again. And you can make donations via Super Chat. We do the donations so that we pay for the channel, and then any proceeds that we gather after with the rest of the donations, we also give to charity. And I think we've got a banner that tells us how much we've gotten, but I'll have to go look for it. I'm not as good at this as Baz is. So let's see. I'm reading through my comments really quick. You can join for just 99p, donate using the Super Chat. All profits are donated to select charities. Please adhere to standard community guidelines, keep comments respectful, and above all, enjoy the show. And with that, let me bring Helen on. There she is.
Hi.
Hi, Helen.
Hello, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm really excited about this. This is the first like this, so I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Helen and I, obviously, we've been channel mates now for quite a while, but we finally got the opportunity to meet when I was over early last month at the charity benefit for Stanley Deaf Club and what was the other one? Lily's Foundation or something to that effect.
Yes.
But it was at Benfield Football Club out at Benfield.
That's it. Walkergate. Yes.
Walkergate. Right. There you go. Thank you. All I know is I got picked up and taken there. I got right off the plane at 8:30 in the morning and went right out there. So, but no, I got to meet Helen. I got to meet her husband Dave. I got to meet a whole bunch of other people. Got to meet lots of people. So we had a good time. And as such,
yeah.
Yep.
And you did a brilliant job commentating as well on the live stream. So yeah, it was such good fun.
We had a great time. And then we got to hang out a little bit after the Atletico Madrid game.
Yes, that was also very good fun. Yes, we had a pint together in the Bacchus, didn't we? So yeah, that was lovely.
If Tara's watching, we met up at the Wobbly Duck and then we walked to Bacchus. So one of Tara's my wife's favorite pubs is the Wobbly.
Oh, brilliant!
She loves the name of it first, but that was the first time I'd ever seen the beer garden actually open.
Yeah,
because when we usually go in there, it's usually after sunset, so all the tables and everything put away. So we go down into the pub.
And the people won't know this watching, but Dan gave us some little. So I don't know if people know, but Dan's got his own merch. So he's got little pin badges. And he very kindly donated a couple to me and Dave. And now Dave has made a game of hiding them around the house. So I have to find them. So he was behind the vodka last week. So now he's been moved again.
You had Elf on the Shelf. Now we're going to have Dan in the Pan. Or good stuff. Leslie, just say hello to Leslie who's moderating for us tonight. Leslie has put in the comments. She said that Wissa scored the Congo's second goal today. He was taken off after a challenge around 74 minutes, but he looked good. And then also Tino and Gordon started for England tonight. So good stuff.
Great.
Andy B. Hey, Andy Beer is in the is in the comments. Congratulations, sir, on your engagement. I just saw that on social media. So congratulations. Lily's Foundation. There you go. And then Leslie says hi, Helen. So okay. And Tara's in the chat as well. So there you go. So I guess let's get started. We advertise this as a Q&A session. We gathered some questions on Instagram and social media. Yeah. And we're just gonna chat about them.
Yes.
I guess you'll read out the question. I don't know anything about the questions.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. I think this is what makes this so good. I can absolutely promise you that other than me and the people who have submitted these questions, we are the only people who know what these questions are. And I think that's good. I think I would love to hear your sort of gut reactions, your honest reactions. So these answers, other than possibly from myself, aren't going to be rehearsed in any way. So you're going to get real. I think it's going to work better this way.
Oh, so, fantastic. I look forward to it.
Fab. Okay.
All right.
So first question. This is the very first question we had in, actually. And this is from Liam on Facebook. And he asks, Liam on Instagram. And he asks, how do you feel about Botman and Gordon's Insta stories about Isak? If you've seen it.
So this was a tough one. This is a tough one. That's a tough question to answer, only because you don't spend every day in day out on the training pitch, traveling. I don't know who Botman and Gordon's roommate was on away games, but it could have been Isak. Dan Burns said it the other day when he was interviewed for the England squad. They're mates. They may not agree with how everything went down. Mm-hmm. They may not support the way that Isak went about doing what he did. Isak was interviewed yesterday after the Sweden match, saying that not everybody has the full picture, and maybe that picture will be developed over time. But for now, he said his Newcastle channel, his chapter is behind it. He wants to now focus on being a Liverpool player. So my genuine feelings on Botman and Gordon's social media posts saying all the best to Alex was saying all the best to their friend. I don't think it was anything more than that. I don't think it was, wishing a fellow teammate, go on and win trophies against us kind of thing. My genuine feeling is, bye, friend.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure sharing a locker room with you. Yeah. And like Dan Burns said in the England interview the other day, I wish him well, except a part when Newcastle plays.
Yeah.
and I think that's all you can say.
Yeah.
A professional footballer's career is short. The lucky ones will get to that 15, 20-year mark. Your Stuart Pearces, your Neil Gabillars, your David Seamans, your Alan Shearers. Yeah. Those guys were lucky. Vast majority of footballers are going to fizzle out, within 10 years. Yeah. Either through injury or because, they're let go by the one club and then they get picked up by another club. It may not be in the same league. They may have to drop a division. They may have to drop two divisions. So judging on that, a footballer's career is very short, and you make friends, you lose friends. Yeah. I grew up a military kid, so so we moved every 18 months to 3 years. So I tried to explain to my kids as they were growing up. We moved house, when our eldest was 10, and that was a big, earth-shattering big deal, and we moved a quarter of a mile. Right. Still had the same friends, still shop at the same stores. Nothing has changed other than they got a room to themselves rather than, my wife and I, being military kids, we lost more important friendships in those early years of growing up than most people do in their entire lives. Yeah. So I kind of channel that into that answer. It's been a pleasure sharing the locker room with you, or if there were roommates on away matches, that kind of thing. Thanks for bunking with me, that kind of thing. and off you go.
Yeah.
I don't think anything more than that. I don't think we should barrack, Botman and Gordon
No.
for it. I don't think we should try and drive them out of our club because of it. Come on, they're mates, they're friends. They have celebrated things together. They have mourned things together. I'm sorry. I am genuinely sorry that our former number 14 is gone. I really am.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like I agree. Well, they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. If people didn't say anything, people would say, well, you've got nothing to say, or, whatever. If they do say anything, they come into criticism. I also feel it's like that, like work colleague thing. You go through your working career and sometimes you make really good friends with people. Some of my best friends I used to work with and I don't work with anymore. So we have surpassed being colleagues and remained friends. And then there's some people who were always just colleagues and we got along at work, but I've never seen them again. And that's totally fine as well. So, and there will be a multitude of people, only a couple of people got invited to Jacob Murphy's wedding, it appears. They'll be the people that he is friends with. So, and other people, whereas I'm sure he gets along with them, won't be as close. So I think you're right. It's that kind of, and God, have my friends made decisions that I disagree with, but they're still my friends. So
yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we could all agree to disagree on how our number 14 went about it and how he left. He's gone now. We got the money. He's gone. I wish he had gone to another club outside of England. I wish he had gone to somewhere that we would not have faced unless it was in Champions League, and deservedly so. I am sad that he has decided to stay in the league and did I take a newspaper? I didn't take a no, I didn't. It's just it was an unfortunate circumstance that led him away from our club. And as you say, it was just work colleagues wishing another work colleague well, or, thanks for having a pint. It's always good to see you, that kind of thing. And that'll be it. There's nothing. I don't think there was anything nefarious in it, and I certainly don't think there should be any ulterior repercussions for it.
No, totally agree. Fabulous.
Question 2.
Question 2. Well, there have been 2 questions about he who shan't be named. So I will ask this second question and then we can move on.
Very good.
So this is from Dave on Facebook, and he says, has the Isak saga put a dampener on watching the Carabao Cup final highlights, or is it just me?
So I was looking at something the other day. Well, so I bought, because I've been a fan for 3 decades now, and that was a very big deal for all of us.
Yes,
us longtime fans. I totally bought into so much of the merch afterwards. There's a website called Art of Football,
right?
And they have a bespoke line of Newcastle gear and stuff. And one of them, of course, was on the front. It says, "Gimme, gimme, gimme a striker from Sweden."
Yeah.
And on the back was, portraits of the man. I have that T-shirt. I have another T-shirt that has him, in his pose after he scored, overlooking the Geordie countryside, and it says, the Angel of the North, and it says, what I have that. I'm not going to wear any of that shit anymore. I'm sorry, I'm just not. And quite frankly, I'm not going to go as far as whoever the young YouTuber was that burned his jersey on camera. I'm not going to go that far. No. But they're mementos, that kind of stuff.
Still memorabilia, isn't it? Yeah.
So yes, looking at the highlights does kind of bring a tear to the eye, because you're sitting there going, what could have been this season and next season and the next season after that. So yeah, there is a little bit of teary eye, the watching them is dampened just a little bit. Good question, Dave.
I agree. I think for me it's the after celebrations and he looks so bloody happy. He's like, I mean, I imagine he scored what you could argue he scored the winning goal. But he just looks in it. He looks absorbed in it. He looks part of the team. He just looks absolutely, you know, when he scored the goal and it's just the Angel of the North, like, and where did that guy go? Do you know what I mean? I think that's what's sad for me. It's not that he scored or that it was him, or it's all of the aftermath, and then the stage on the Taumura when he's like egging Bruno on and getting him to sing chants and all that. He's in it, and he's on the bus and he's lifting the cup, and he's just that's the sad part for me. That's what I find difficult to watch and stomach. He's maybe not the guy we thought he was, and that's the hard bit.
It begs the question: was this decision that he made this summer already
in the back of his mind,
germinating in there? Because there have been some who have seen him embrace Virgil van Dijk on the pitch after the match was over, and there are some people who said, "Well, we read lips," and he said, you better be there next season because Van Dijk's contract was ending at the end of last season, and he signed an extension literally weeks after the Carabao Cup final. So there are some out there with more sinister takes on how things went. But again, he who shall not be named is no longer a Newcastle player, and therefore the number 14 jersey is vacant.
Yes, up for
grabs. There were 14s before him.
100%.
Tamori Kachbaya, David Ginola, Charles Insomnia. I mean, in Zogbia. There's so many. Loic Remy. We can name no one individual is bigger than the club. And
no,
as we've said repeatedly, the players are going to come and go. The club is what we get. The club is what we get to hold on to and hold close. The folks that come in and represent that club and do well at that club, those are the ones we celebrate. The ones that come into the club don't do their all, don't give their all, and leave under a cloud, well, they're the ones who are resigned to history. And that's just the way it is. So,
totally agree.
Well done, Dave.
We'll move on. We'll move on from he who shan't be named now.
Excellent question, Helen. We do have a couple, and I just want to give a shout out to the people in the comments.
Go for it.
James Brighton said, "People you work with do so by circumstance, not intention. Some you will choose to enjoy their company."
Yeah,
I think put that one right there.
Yeah.
We did get a question from Northern Golfer. Will the new CEO bring new revenue? And I think there's some discussions in there. I think the appointment of Hopkinson is going to be, I think will prove itself in the coming months. I agree with Baz's take that I think this appointment has already been done, but they couldn't make the announcement in the middle of the transfer window, because if they did, and our transfer window went to pot, everybody could just start blaming the new CEO, and it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
he doesn't even have his feet under the desk yet. So let's get him
calm down.
and as an American, it's always fun to bring a Canadian in.
Right.
And for our Canadian friends, I mean that most sincerely. I love the Canadian accent. My family was all from North Dakota, so if I'm in North Dakota for 30 minutes, all of a sudden all my O's start to come out, and I start to, and unfortunately, it also happens to me when I show up in Newcastle. All of a sudden, the word "like" pops into my
yes, I've noticed that when we've been chatting, that you'll the little like inflections and stuff creep in.
And it's not me taking the piss of anybody.
No.
It happens. I have a standard American accent as a military kid.
Yes, I would say so. Just like
I never picked up on an accent. When I lived in North Carolina, I never talked like this.
Love it.
I couldn't. But it's there are inflections that pop in that are completely subliminal, and I can't help it. So I loved hearing Hopkinson looking around St. James's Park, and then he was so excited about being here. So I think he's going to be great. He has a long history of success at several different organizations. His long-standing experience with Canadian teams such as the Raptors and I'm trying to remember the other one. Maple Leaves. So he's got hockey background. He's got baseball background. He's got basketball background. He is, for me, well-rounded, and I think we'll be able to bring that in. I'm sorry, you don't get hired by Real Madrid being poor. I'm sorry.
That's
so
true.
the fact that he has all of those elements in his CV would lead me to believe that he's going to be terrific for us. I'm sure he has a Rolodex or whatever whatever term we want to use now for a diary or a little black book of contacts that he can pick out and talk anybody. So I'm excited about that. I'm also excited to hear who's going to be our next director of football. I am excited for the international break to be over so that we can get back to league business. And I mean, come on. Today's Tuesday. So Thursday in a week. we host Barcelona at St. James's Park. So I mean, could I be more excited for that? So Northern Golfer, thank you for that question. And I'll pepper a couple of those that come in because we've got seven more questions.
Good. So, fabulous. Okay,
what's our next one?
So next one, this is from Martin, and this came in on text. So he says, do we have the squad depth to go further in the Champions League this season?
I'd like to think that we strengthened in the positions where we needed depth.
Yes.
Last season, we really didn't have anybody to back up James Murphy. We had options on the left, several options on the left. What did I say?
James Murphy.
James Murphy used to play center midfield for Monterey Bay.
Have we signed a new
for Monterey Bay? So then it just screws me up because now we've got Jacob Murphy, Murphy, and now and we got Jacob Murphy, and then we've got Jacob
Alex
Ramsey.
Murphy,
and then Alex Murphy. Sorry about that. We didn't have a proper backup to Jacob Murphy.
No.
We had lots of options on the left. We brought in. I was sad that we lost Sean Longstaff.
Yeah.
But I think we honestly all knew that he wasn't going to get a lot of minutes in the Premier League.
Yeah.
He was probably most likely going to be used as a cup squad player. And I think he saw the writing on the wall as well. And I have to give him more credit that he, with 1 year left on his contract, he went looking for a move because he knew his move, for whatever money it was going to be for, would be 100% profit in terms of PSR. I mean, there's a guy, and you saw the look on his face at the end of the Leeds match because our fans were singing his name. He was welled up. Bringing in Jacob Ramsey, on the other hand, that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen more signings, but I think our transfer window got as good as it could have gotten.
Yes, I think so.
I think we did as best business as we could. The fact that we got the two strikers that we needed, they may not have been first choice strikers. And you look at everybody else's business in the summer. I think we did well to get the players that we've got. I think now that we've got Bunce, I think his first name is James. Might be James Bunce, the fitness coach that came in at the beginning of last season. I think he was getting to know the guys all throughout last season, getting to know what their, where their niggles are, where their, where are the things that can give them trouble. That's why we had, we got Tonali for a long time last season.
Yeah.
We had Bruno for a long time last season.
Yeah.
We got Gordon for a long time last season. The only ones that we missed out on for extended periods of time were the ones that we failed to get proper backups for. And we saw a lot of Jacob Murphy last year that I don't think in past seasons we would ever have.
Not at all. And I think it's lucky that actually it correlated with a real purple patch for him as well, because he was on fire last season. So that was brilliant. We had him and we needed him, and he stepped up because we didn't have anybody else. So I think that kind of the stars aligned in that sense. I think for me, my worry in the past, for what it's worth, has been around Fabian Schär. And I mean, I love Fabian Schär. I think he's fantastic. But he's one of the older members of the squad. And I mean, obviously, I don't think age is what it used to be. I think they are staying fitter for longer because of obviously all of the help and the culture and stuff.
I think we can all agree that
Fabian, they're not McQuinn anymore. But much as I love McQuinn, love McQuinn. But I think he is one of the older members of the squad. Other than when he had a red card at the beginning of last season, he played every single match, started every single game because we didn't have a backup. But obviously we have backups now, so that's less of a worry in that he doesn't necessarily have to start and doesn't have to play every game because we've got backup, and then so maybe he can rest or he can keep at that peak fitness. But so he was sort of my worry in previous seasons when we've been playing multiple competitions. But that's less of a worry this season. So I guess that answers the question for me, is that I do think that we've got better squad depth this season because we do have better backups in different positions.
And we've seen that Dan Burn. I got my words in front of me. Dan Burn has become relatively evergreen. He doesn't seem to be bothered at all.
Yeah.
And continue. I mean, you can see that fatigue gets him, especially as the matches go further. I like how our fitness group is tackling Sven Botman's minutes right now.
Yes.
Baz and I talked about that during the Atletico match because he played the first half, and then we watched all during halftime. They were giving him his warm downs. They were doing stretches with him and everything, and then he got subbed out. He didn't come back for the second half. I think we're finally getting the opportunity to make sure that Sven Botman is going to be right, because that bit us in the butt with him the season before.
Yeah.
He played through the pain. I'm sure he got injections on whatever it was and everything.
I'm sure
he played through the pain, and ultimately it cost him. It cost him almost a full season. Yeah. So to your point, you're correct. Schär and Dan Burn having adequate backups to them who could in fact supplant them later as their replacements in both Sven Botman and Malik Chow. I'm excited to see those guys come in. So yeah, I agree. I think we've gotten the only one that I wish we had gotten one more signing in would have been at right back.
Right.
No, not right back, left back. Sorry, because Target left. Target left, we know that Dan Burn can play out there. We know that Tino can play out there. We know that Lewis Hall is our first choice.
Yeah.
We know if we were pressed into it, we could play Trips out there.
Yeah.
But on the right, we've got Trips, we've got Livermento, we've got Kraft, we've got Jacob Murphy can play right wing back.
Yeah.
Play that. We have options out there, and I would love to have gotten one more striker.
Yeah.
But I think we were famously lucky to get the two that we got. So no complaints further than that. So okay, what's question number 4?
So speaking of strikers, that leads me nicely on to question number 4. How do you think we can play Wissa and Walter Made together?
I think there have been a lot of theories about this, and I haven't had a chance to watch the Germany matches. I know that Walter Made has gotten a bit of stick for his show during the Germany matches. He hasn't played for Eddie Howe yet. He hasn't played with Eddie Howe yet, and we have seen so much. So many players who have improved under Eddie Howe. So I'm excited because Walter Made, even though he's 6'6", and people would think that he's more of a target man, what we've seen and read and heard about him is he's basically a giant Peter Beardsley. He is comfortable with the ball at his feet. He has amazing close control. So I think having him play more as a 10, more as a withdrawn forward, and playing Wissa in the 9, I think is where we're going to benefit. I think Eddie Howe has been really steadfast in his 4-3-3. I think we're going to see a little bit more flexibility now. We may not. We had to play the 3-5-2 against Leeds that we played, and I agree with Baz. I hope we never see that one again, unless we're playing somebody that we know that we have to put up against the low block. Especially in the Champions League or something. So if we have to play 3 at the back, so be it. But we could see a 4-2-3-1. We could see Wissa play on the left and Voltemade up front.
Yeah.
We could see Wissa up front and Voltemade just behind, and Elanga and Gordon play more as inverted wingers coming in tighter. I'm excited to see what possibilities we have. Joe Linton is going to be out for a little bit. Gordon still misses another 2 matches.
Yeah.
So we're going to see some switches, and I'm excited to see what Eddie's going to have available to him. I think Wolves is going to be a good test of our mettle to see what Eddie has up his sleeve. I think he's going to throw something out there that Wolves has never seen before, and and I'm excited for that. Tara is telling me that I've got lots of questions in the comments.
I noticed there was one about Anthony Gordon's hair. I really think we should talk about Anthony Gordon's hair just as some light relief.
So we'll throw that one on. James Brighton has also said Gordon is growing his hair as an excuse to missing goals. Yes, we need him to. We need to find whatever scoring boots he was wearing last season.
Yes,
he needs to find those again.
It's like reverse Samson. The longer the hair is, the crapper he is. He needs to cut his hair, and that'll give him his power back.
Aptly put. Well done. Andy Beer is saying that England is leading 1-0 up.
Great. Amazing.
The one thing I think we'll all agree, and Northern Golfers has called it out to it in the comments. The one thing that we need to improve, hopefully that Hopkinson can get us on the road to sooner than later, is communication from the club. We have seen since Amanda and Mehrdad departed a lack of communication to the public. Decline is a.
I think it's not just the communication; it's the style of communication, and it feels like a lack of honesty and transparency. I feel like, exactly like you said, I feel like when Amanda was here, open and honest, and it felt that way anyway. Whether you never truly know what's really going on, but it felt honest and transparent, even when things weren't going well. It's almost radio silence now, and their hand was forced with the he who shan't be named because he made a statement first. Would they ever have said anything? Would they ever addressed it? Things are escalating, conjectures getting worse and worse. It needed nipping in the bud earlier than it did, and I'm not sure that would have. I'm not sure it would have gotten that far under the sort of the previous ownership, management, whatever you want to call it.
They were part owners, but they were the most visible, most approachable, most, for lack of a better word, tangible owners that we had. I met Mehrdad outside St. James's Park, and the first thing he said to me as he walked up, I said, "Hello, Mehrdad," and he says, "Great beard."
Oh, amazing!
It was the striped beard, and I got a picture with him. I then was at the fan event in Philadelphia for the summer series, and I was standing all the way at the back of the room because we had gotten in late. So there was a crowd of people up at the front. So we were standing all the way at the back, and my friend Richard was standing to my left, and he bumps me with his elbow and says, "Turn right." So I look to my right. Mehrdad's standing right next to me. And he's got a Starbucks in his hand. I said, "Can I get you a beer?" And he says, I got coffee. But then he was happy to take a selfie with us. So then when we got to Atlanta, I got to meet Amanda for the first time.
Right.
And I got a selfie with her. And then Mehrdad said, "I need one." And then the bodyguard admits to me that Mehrdad and Amanda had a contest each day to see how many selfies they could get against each other. So Amanda posed for 2 selfies with me. Mehrdad posed for 3 on the same day because he says, "How many does my wife have? Because I've got to get more." So I mean, again, they were tangible, they were approachable, they were amiable,
likable, absolutely,
all of those things. So and I think with them departing, we've lost a bit of that. I'm hoping again, going back to the fine Canadian fellow that just got hired by the club. I think he's going to be more visible. I think as Darren Eales announced his illness, and I think his treatment began, he became less and less and less visible, simply because I think he had to take care of himself, and being, it was blood related. I think he was probably even more a concerted effort to make sure that he didn't introduce any outside influences that could make him
and that makes sense.
Less well. So then all good. So I'm glad to see that Hopkinson is in. I'm genuinely impressed by his demeanor that we've seen thus far. Ian McKenna says the exciting part about our new CEO is he has pretty much doubled revenue in every job he's been in. So that bodes well for us.
Yeah, definitely.
And he also spent time in New York City with Madison Square Garden. So he's also in tune with world famous venues, which also bodes well for us. Let's see. I'm just England. Kane has scored for England from a corner. Yeah, we talked about Murphy. Madueke has scored now. It's 2-0 for England.
Great.
The longer the beard, the less clubs it gives.
Well, I definitely thought about you, not me, because I shave mine right.
Unfortunately, James, I've reached terminal length. It will not grow any longer. And the funny thing is, when I came over in January, I went to the barber just before and just had it trimmed just a little bit. I walked into the strawberry, and Caroline behind the bar said, "The hell did you do to your beard?" I said, "I'm sorry." She says, "It's not long enough. Where's the?" So I've become mindful of how long the beard gets. But you'll never see a ZZ Top beard from me, because it has reached terminal length, and this is it. This is as big as it gets. So I have to keep it more shapely, and less of the frillies. But other than that, I'm just looking. Yeah, Ian says Voltamata is a 10. Wissa is a 9. Will probably be a. My hope is that we get to see them play together. That's the hope. And for me, with Gordon out for two more games, with Joe Linton injured, I think we're going to see more of our midfield is probably going to be more Bruno Tonali. I think Sandro and Bruno are going to be playing more together without Joe Linton, and being the creative force that Voltamata is. I think we're going to see more of that triangle. I think we're going to see Sandro, and we'll just start calling him Nico. We'll have Bruno, Sandro, and Nico. And we'll have those three in the middle. And Big Joe. But then, we also have so many options wide. And going back to the recruitment, I think we did well. And then the hair. We're talking the hair about Gordon. Volta Tony Tynebridge says Gordon is trying to look more like you, Helen.
Oh, well.
He's trying to grow it out.
Yes, doesn't everyone?
And that's exactly what he says. We all want to look like Helen. All right. What's our next question, my dear?
Right. Okay. This is from Sarah on Instagram, and this kind of this goes back to, I think someone asked something similar in the chat earlier. Do you think that the fan base will support the naming rights of a new / extended stadium being sold to a sponsor?
So we talked about this a couple of years ago on social media, long before I joined the channel. Back when the other he shall not be named changed the name to Sports Direct Park, or Sports Direct Arena.
Sports Direct Arena it was,
That one rang hollow simply because we knew he wasn't paying for it. He was just plastering the venue with
his own brand,
his brand, and not paying anything for it. So that one hurt, because we knew we weren't getting anything. This is modern football, and it's all about money at this point. And we need to be pulling revenues for as much as we can. The fact that is it Arsenal that's wearing Adidas now?
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah.
Or is it? No,
it's Liverpool.
Liverpool. So Liverpool's getting 60 million a year from Adidas. We're getting 35.
Right.
Now I realize that we could argue all day long about the the credos of both clubs and who's worth more and this, that, and the other. But the fact that the same company is making that kind of disparity between two clubs in the same league, and our deal is for 5 years, where Liverpool's is for 10. It's all about money. So we're looking for whatever money we can get. I, as a romantic, never want to see us leave St. James's Park, but I'm also a realist.
Yeah,
we're going to need to put more seats in. We can't expand it. The trouble with expanding it is more obtuse than building a new stadium.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
if we were to build a new stadium on Lees's Park, let's just hypothetical.
Yeah.
I don't think we can call the new stadium St. James's Park, obviously.
No.
Because it's not at St. James's Park. No. I think if St. James's Park becomes St. James's Park, if we start seeing, if the new stadium is built and we have to see the current stadium, demolished, I'm hoping to see a large green space in the middle of city center. It's called St. James's Park. And if Lees's Park is bought out by Nike or Red Bull or Monster or Newcastle Brown Ale, or Guinness. Do I want to see it named that? No, but it is what it is. The San Francisco 49ers play in a stadium called Levi's Stadium.
Right.
The San Jose Earthquakes play in a stadium that's called PayPal Park.
Yeah.
Monterey Bay Football Club plays in a stadium called Cardinale Stadium. It used to be called Freeman Field.
Yeah.
It's not even Cardinale Stadium at Freeman Field. I would love for it to be called Freeman Field, but it's Cardinale Stadium. That's what it is. And the realism of all of it means is if we have to give up a little bit of our romanticism in order to get revenues so that we can buy the next Voltamata or the next, in order to afford those, in order to keep up with the Joneses, in order to compete. Because that's we didn't come here to win. We didn't come here to win. We came to compete. That's that's we want to be able to compete with the big guns. And if that means selling the naming rights to things, then so be it.
And it's been done before. I mean, look at our redheaded stepchildren cousins down the road who they changed from Roker Park to Stadium of Light, and there were probably people who were absolutely can't change it. You're killing the legacy, the history, or whatever. But that's happened. Everton have just done it. They've just moved. So it's remains to be seen. I agree. I would like to see some nod. So, for example, if we move to Lees's Park, the word Lees's is in there somewhere because that's iconic of Newcastle. Or it's like, I don't know, the Cellar Stadium at St. James's Park, something like that. That still kind of nice. But again, I don't disagree with anything you've said. I feel like the revenue and the growth of the club trumps any romanticism. That's the end of that era. Let's close that chapter and let's start a new. Let's start a new era at this new stadium and let's go on and win more things and whatever the new era shows.
100%. I mean, while I would love to see the cantilevered roof circle around and cover the Gallagate as well, and see the Gallagate expanded, I would love to see that. I know that the East Stand can't be expanded upon, or else we're denying an entire population of residents there natural light. Can't do that. I mean, come on. So yeah, no, I 100% agree. The realist and the pragmatist in me says we need to be competing, and if that means putting our names on, putting somebody's name on it, but again, like I hope it's called Lees's Park Stadium. I hope it's called Lees's Park or something to that effect, because that's, as you said, emblematic of the region.
Just keeping something a little bit more nostalgic and historical. So totally agree.
Maybe if there was a little gazebo, a little band venue right outside or something. So, all right, what's next?
Okay, so back on to a more team-related question. We've kind of touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to ask this question in full because this has come from Sam. Do you think that the new signing? How do you think that the new signings are going to do, especially seeing Alanga and Walter Marde play in qualifiers recently?
Eddie Howe. That's
Next
all I'm going to say.
No, that's all you need to say.
Eddie Howe went after these players not because they were third, fourth, fifth choice. This wasn't like when Rafa was at the club.
Yeah.
And we were constantly told we couldn't afford this guy. We couldn't afford that guy. We went after Anthony Alanga first. And look at the quality of the players that we went after. We were after Liam Delap. We were after Sheshko. We were after Ekitike. We were after, I mean, you go down the list of the targets that we were after, and they chose other clubs. It had nothing to do with money. We obviously had the money. We got the signings that we got because we played the cards we were dealt.
Yeah.
The signings that we've got in, I'm excited to see progress under Eddie Howe, because Eddie Howe has now shown over the last 4 years at our club that he is a magician with these players. He has taken average players and made them good. He has taken good players and made them great. He has taken great players and turned them into world beaters. So as far as I'm concerned, we have shown growth upon growth upon growth and improvement upon improvement upon improvement in terms of our playing staff. So I'm excited to see these players work with Eddie Howe on a daily basis and see what becomes of that. You know, not all of them have been fantastic. We know that, but I would say 98.5% of the players that have been trained by Eddie Howe have improved. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Or if you've seen a player hit their peak, Eddie has also shown that he's not afraid to move them on.
Yeah.
Or has maybe the seed gets planted in those conversations where the player themselves decide, you know, I think I've reached my peak in the case of like a Sean Lund.
But I think he makes that transition seamless.
His management skills are second to none.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
That's
what I was trying to say. You just said it way more eloquently than me.
I think he took a leaf out of the 18 months he spent away from the game, where he went to several clubs and studied. He was watching. He went to Atletico Madrid and spent time with Diego Simeone and watched his style. He went to other clubs. He was constant. He's constantly in his notebook. You could see that.
Yeah.
I think he probably took a leaf out of Sir Bobby Robson's book, and knows when an arm needs to be put around a player and when a boot up the ass needs to be done. He knows how to get the best out of his players, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, totally agree. Brilliant.
There's a lot of talk in the comments, folks, about the Man City case that they won yesterday. It is not related to the 115 charges that are still levied against them. This was a what do you call it when they settle? This was a settlement between the Premier League and the Premier League and Man City about associated party transactions. This came about again, and it was said on Sky Sports yesterday. Now, these were rules that were tightened up after our takeover because the powers that be saw the amount of wealth available to Newcastle from their newfound owners. Arguably the richest club in the world, but all of a sudden there are now shackles on how that money gets spent. You could have seen a Sella come in, and all of a sudden we had a sponsorship deal worth £1 billion a season. That wouldn't have been what they called fair market value.
Mm-hmm.
So what we saw, the settlement that we saw yesterday between Man City and the Premier League was Man City agreeing that the APT rules, the Associated Party Transaction rules, that have now been altered. The case came about because Man City argued that the APT rules changes that were made after Newcastle were taken over weren't correct. They weren't enforceable.
Right.
So that's been going on now for 2 years. Man City has now come out and said that they have agreed with the Premier League's changes to the APT rules, and that the ones that are now in place are enforceable and adequate. Unfortunately, what that means is the rules that are in place now preclude us from getting any of the sponsorship deals that other clubs have gotten before these rules were put in place.
Right.
So yes, the APT rules have been affected and have been changed and altered and bettered, or whatever you want to do. They're still going to hurt us because there are already sponsorship deals that are in place that when those sponsorship deals sunset, when they expire, they won't be able to repeat them or renew them at the same levels. But the teams, the clubs that already have similar rules in place, those are going to be able to stand until they sunset. They won't be able to renew them. That's the way the rules are working. That has nothing to do with the 115 charges against Man City of breaking FFP and PSR rules over the years. So that one's still ongoing. The fact that it's ongoing is annoying, but that has nothing to do with the agreement that we saw yesterday.
Right.
I'm going down. I want to get to all of our questions. So,
I know we've only got 3 left that have been pre-submitted, so I think we're doing okay.
Okay. All right. Let's hear the next one of those.
Okay. So you'll like this one. I've had to reword this question because it wasn't able to be read out in its original form.
Well, you'll have to read it to me over a pint. But yes.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Okay.
So, what is it about certain fan bases that just gets under our skin and that create non-geographical rivalries? Clubs like Man United or more recently Liverpool.
I watched a little bit of the overlap, the most recent overlap.
Yeah.
Only because my friend Joe Kenja was on, representing Newcastle. I think a lot of that goes into there is a. I hate to say it. I really hate to say it, but there is a level of jealousy involved because
on our part. Do you think?
On our part,
yes,
because of their history of success.
Yes.
But again, it goes back to when the Premier League started in '92. I mean, does anybody remember who won the first Premier League trophy? Leeds.
Right. Oh, well, there you
go. With Eric Cantona.
Right.
No one associates Eric Cantona with Leeds.
With Leeds, no.
But he was at Leeds when they won the Premier League. He then went to Man United the next summer, and then, how many of the first dozen years did Man United win? And again, it goes back to they had a management system, a coaching system that was put in place that gave them, and an academy system that kept giving them player after player after player. So there's a certain level of jealousy there that they were ready, 30 years ago. I think we could all argue, it was great that when Sir John Hall and Freddie Shepherd and everybody came in and they took over, because we were in a bad spot then, about to drop out of the league, Then we got Kevin Keegan in. Then we got strength to strength to strength. But we ran out of money. Quite frankly, we ran out of money. And remember when 15 million was a world record?
Yes.
Now 15 million is what you pay for a 22-year-old like Will Asula. So there is a certain level of jealousy about the history and the fame involved. And because, again, like I just said with the APT rule changes, there have been rules that have been put in place that have benefited clubs for far too long. I mean, you saw the advent of the football world that we know as we do now. Abramovich came in and spent money over money. Abu Dhabi came in and bought Man City and spent money over money. the gentleman who bought Leicester City. Unfortunately,
Was the Thai? Was it? There was the. Was it Thai?
The Thai billionaire.
Yeah,
He came in. He came in, and that was a fantastic season for Leicester City. And there's a certain amount of jealousy there too, because all of a sudden we saw one of the underdogs get to leap right up to the top. So in terms of fan bases, there's an entitlement that comes with that jealousy as well. Yes.
That was going to be my point. It's
gets under the nerves.
It's the arrogance for me, and I mean, we could probably be guilty of it. I'm sure it's a bit of bravado here and there. There's I'll try and get very, very quickly, and this isn't about Man U or Liverpool. As a friend of mine was a Sunderland fan. He's a Sunderland fan. And I don't know if you remember, years ago, it must have been 10 years ago, there was an issue with a kickoff time for Newcastle at a 3:00 game because the speakers didn't work, or the telly didn't work, or something didn't work. And he posted
Sports had a blackout or something like that.
Exactly, yeah. And he posted on TikTok, not on TikTok, on Twitter, "Oh, NUFC are just the gift that keeps on giving. They can't even get their lights to work." And as it happened, that same day Sunderland were playing and got beat like 5-0 or something. And it's that initial arrogance of, the gift that keeps on giving. And then look what happened. And he looked pretty bloody stupid at 8:00. And I remember tweeting him saying, "Oh, you're quiet. You've gone quiet." Because Newcastle actually went on to win their game. And then Sunderland got absolutely stuffed. So it's like, it's kind of like, don't be so arrogant at the top, because it is a long fall and you're going to look pretty stupid when you're down where you think we are and the tables have turned. So it's that kind of having, and we've spoken about this offline about the he who shan't be named. There's something about having a bit of class and just having a bit of, modesty. And I think those big clubs, the bulk of the fan base that you see, don't have that class and don't have that modesty, and that's what really gets under my skin.
Morgul Blade says it's simply because their fans are arseholes.
Could be that as
well. No, but then only one JG18 is in. I think that's Jade. Says no one cared about us when we were stuck under the rock of who shouldn't be named, and we were getting battered every week. Now we're a threat. We're a threat to the system because we have monies. We know that. There was an argument on the overlap that there was one gent who's a Man United fan, and he's a famous YouTuber. He's been on several channels. I won't go into any depths there, but he was just pissed off that that international states could own clubs such as Man City and Newcastle. And everybody was just on him saying, okay, but you didn't have that problem when you were the richest club in the world. And he said, okay, but we built ours. Ours was all on market share, all on marketplace. We had merch all over the world. We had people all. This one also gets under my skin, and I'll expound on it just a minute. We talked about this offline. I get a little upset when I hear Newcastle fans disparage foreign Newcastle fans.
Right.
That this insinuation that Newcastle has become a tourist club, where and I know that there's at least one former player, I won't name who that player was, who got bent out of shape when John O'Hare was with us in the pub, was with us in the Strawberry, because that person said, "Oh, that's an American who always gets tickets. We don't know how he gets tickets."
I've heard that as well. I've heard that, and I think that's awful. It's awful.
And I'm sorry if other fans are listening, and I don't mean this to. Just because we weren't born in the postcode doesn't mean that we're not fans, and that's the thing the thing that bothers me. Jack, every time he comes to visit, the folks in the box office love and hate Jack, because John O'Hare walks into the box office on a daily basis to see if there are any tickets that have been turned in.
They've been returned.
Those onesie Tuesdays that come in. When we've gone over, we've bought hospitality tickets. We have lucked into. There was one night, the first night that we came over in 2023, we came over with one ticket.
Right.
John was able to get a second ticket in hospitality because
Right.
someone had turned it in the day
Right.
before. And he
Yeah.
was there when the box office opened and asked,
Right.
do you have a ticket? So
Yeah.
he was able to. We came over with one ticket. After the match that night, we were in a pub. I can't remember which pub. It could have been Rosie's or whatever. We were talking to fans, and they said, so you're going to go to the match on Friday? I think we were on that was that Friday. We were going to go see a Wednesday match or something next week.
Yeah.
And I said, we don't have tickets. And he goes, are you looking for tickets? And I said, we're looking for one ticket.
One ticket.
And he reached into his overcoat and pulled out one ticket. He said, I had one left.
Oh my God.
And now, of course, you have to take, but you also have to take that at face value. He could have been a scalper. He could have been
absolutely
a dodgy ticket.
Yeah.
You know? So I paid him the 40 quid face value of the ticket.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the ticket worked.
You know? Yeah.
Meanwhile, I had other friends who have 3 season tickets and they share them. You know, 2 people didn't go to the game because one of their kids came home from uni. So they were having a family reunion. So 2 people didn't go. That allowed my wife to go.
Right.
You know, it's when you talk to people and you're, you know, if you get on like we get on, you know, funny things happen. You know,
how good is it being? And I'd say this because we're going on holiday to Greece in a couple of weeks' time, and there's actually 3 matches on while we were away. How good is it being in a foreign bar watching your team with all of the other, well, I say quote unquote Geordies because they're not, they're from all over the country and sometimes all over the world. And I think that's great. It's lovely to say, oh, you live in London now. Oh, you did that. But, you know, there's people who are 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th Newcastle fans because their dad was and their dad was and their dad was. Or there's people who, like yourself, just discovered the club, you know, whenever you did. But that doesn't make you more or less of a fan. It's just, it's crazy. I mean, that kind of mentality is so tribal and sort of, what's the word? It's like a big pack mentality of we're Geordies, we're from the city, therefore we're better fans, we're this, that, and the other. Like, who cares? It's, you know, come on. I think this is the last club that could be accused of being a tourist club. It's just,
and I think the game, as we know, has become global.
Yes, yeah,
and
because of TV rights.
If you want those revenues that the Manchester United supporter mentioned on the overlap, if you want the revenues from from Asia, from the Far East, if you want the revenues from the Americas, if you want and when I say Americas, I'm talking North and South America. If you want those revenues, you got to want the fans to come with it, because the fans that are spending those monies are the fans that are giving you that clout.
Yeah.
So. And I've said this on episodes before. We are very lucky here in Monterey that we have a pub that I talked into opening up at 7 a.m. to allow a group of us. And I again, when I say it's a group of us, I have converted 3 people to become Newcastle fans. Brilliant. They were previously fans of something else. But we have 2 Spurs fans. We have a Liverpool fan. We have a West Ham fan. We have a brand new fan who's a Sunderland fan. He walked in and I welcomed him with open arms. And he goes, he said, I wasn't sure. And I said, oh, come on. We're here to watch football together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I said, we're proving
such a small
to
community.
the community that we can all get together, watch it. There's obviously there's going to be some banter. There's going to be some, and it's all good-natured ribbing. That's the best part.
Yeah,
we saw this in San Diego. We've seen this in New York. We've seen this in Atlanta. We've seen this in other places, and we could. Yeah, see, Jade says that she drank with Dan and company and many times, and it's become an annual thing. And I'm so upset that I missed Jade last time when I was there. When I was just there in August, I missed her. She and Naomi were in town, and I missed them. Anyway, so next time, dear, we'll get together. So yeah, no, I just want to watch football with my mates.
Yeah.
And when I'm in Newcastle, I hope I can do that in the stadium. If I can't, I'll find someplace else to watch it. That's fine. Yeah. I've been lucky so far.
And that's the good thing, is it's such a football city that it'll be on every TV in every pub anyway. So you'll be able to go and watch it.
I'll go find it on the Empty Pint channel, wherever that is. All right, we got a couple more because we're over an hour already.
We'll try and whiz through them. So, okay, this is that I had to ask this one because this question's from my dad. So, and
I love it.
So and he's called Dave as well because I only really associate with people called Dave. So.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
Or guys that start with D.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my dad says, I'm worried about Joe Willock. We know there's a player in there, his goal against Chelsea, his assist in the Spurs game. Does he just need a bit of luck and a good run of games?
I think he needs to sort out whatever his injury problems have been that have plagued him now for 2 seasons. I think we need to get those under control, and we need to see the signs. We need to be able to identify the symptoms when we know he's reaching his breaking point, and be able to rest him. There is absolutely a player in there. We wouldn't have spent 25 million on him. You can't tell me that Joe Willock, being the player after Alan Shearer to have scored in 7 straight games.
Yeah.
And did he beat it? Did he go and scored in 8? You know that there's a player in there. And I know it was Bruce Ball. I know it was, we could say that all day long. And we could also say the same thing about St. Maximin. We saw that those 2 guys were fantastic in a poor team. But I wonder, if they would be as exemplary as they were under Bruce now under Eddie Howe. Could Eddie Howe make them even better? We know that there's a player in there in Joe Willock. We just need to get him fit, and need to get him fit day after day after day.
As well, rather than just exactly.
Fitness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because and now, I mean, let's be honest. He's up against Bruno, Sandro, Nico, and Big Joe. In the 4, it's going to be hard for him to get games. But at the same time, when that opportunity comes, I hope he grabs that brass ring and just beats everybody over the head with it.
Yeah.
We're going to see him. We know we're going to see him in the Carabao Cup.
Mm-hmm.
If he's fit, he's going to start. I'm hoping we get to see him in the FA Cup. I hope to see him come off the bench and prove everybody wrong.
Yeah.
Your dad would agree with me. The assist against Spurs.
Yeah.
Outside of the right boot, had no business passing the ball like that.
Yeah.
And yet, if it had been anybody other than Joe Willock, if Messi had done that, if Luis Suarez had done that, if Florian Wirtz had done that, everybody would still be talking about it. The fact that it was Joe Willock and it was for
and he's not a big name, he's not a big exactly.
It gets consigned to history. But those of us who saw it all remember it, and we know that there's a player in there. So I agree with your dad. I think we need to maintain his fitness. We have to identify whatever fitness problems he has suffered from. We need to identify what the root cause of those were. We need to solve them, and then we need to maintain him, because he is going to be a very important squad player for us. For me, unfortunately, in the big games, the Premier League, the Champions League, I don't think he's a starter. He's definitely a squad player, but he's an important squad player. He is one that I would depend on to call off the bench first. I'm arguing. Yeah, Willock was unreal 2 seasons ago. I think Lewis Miley, I'm going to say something controversial. I think Lewis Miley might need a loan. I think he may need to go out and play. I don't
disagree with that. I don't dislike him, but for me, I don't think he's set the world on fire as much as people seem to think he has. I haven't seen what a lot of people are raving about him for.
We saw more of him 2 seasons ago because of the injury dilemma.
Yes. Yeah.
He was forced into the limelight because we, honest to God, had nobody else. And he was the best one of that academy group that Eddie trusted to bring into the fold and say, right, lad, we're going to be depending on you. And on top of that, he's gone off and he's grown up. He was 17 years old now. He's newly 20. You're going to be 20 very soon. And he's grown 4 inches. He's put on, obviously, a stone or 2 in girth, in bulk. There's a player in there. He could be on his way to becoming a Voltamade. He could be 6'6", and he doesn't have the Beardsley close control that Nico does, but I honestly think that Never mind. There's comments going on. I'll read it. Eddie says that Luis Suarez had no restraints in public. He makes news in the U.S. a lot for losing his temper too quickly. Agreed. But again, if Eddie just, thank you, sir. Eddie just donated $10. Thank you, sir.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
What else? Okay, we have one more.
Okay, one more. And I've saved this one for last because I think this is quite a nice one. So this is a nice one to end things on. So this is a question we get on Facebook. So given the trend for players picking squad numbers that are personal, for example, Bruno 39, if you signed for the Toon, what squad number would you choose and why?
Okay, so anybody who's seen me around town and has seen my personalized kits, I have Superfan Dan across the shoulders, and I've chosen the number 73 because that was my birth year.
Brilliant.
I am also fond of the year 91, because that's when I graduated from what we call high school. So when I graduated from school was in 1991, and I like 1991 because it's a palindrome, 1991.
Yes. Funny you say that, because the number I would pick is similar. So my birthday is 28/7/82. So I've always liked 28 because it's then a palindrome of 82. So it's both the day of the month I was born and also the year I was born. So I think I would go 28. I also
Joe Willock.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yes. Also going full circle. I'm also fond of number 7 because just the big first footballer I really got into was Rob Lee, and he was number 7, and obviously Big Joe's number 7. And
you and my wife are going to have so much to talk about.
Oh yeah. Well, I obviously we're like sisters anyway already, even though we've never met.
Her favorite is number 7 as well. When she met me, Rob Lee had just gotten the number 7 back. Because he, was 37 for that year before.
Yes.
Number 7 is big for her. I appreciate Jacob Ramsey's 41 choice because that's the first one he ever got. A good friend of mine is a professional footballer. He chose the number 31. Chase Boone, if you're listening, I'm giving you a shout out, brother. Chase Boone never met his uncle. His uncle was a professional baseball player. His uncle died of cancer very quickly, very abruptly, but he wore number 31. So Chase has been number 31 at every club he's ever gone to, having never met his uncle. But he feels the only thing is he just signed for a new club, and the number 31 was already taken by the.
Oh no! Oh, what a shame.
So he's actually wearing number 7.
Okay.
But we're looking forward to seeing him in number 31 again.
Yes.
I really like hearing those stories, especially like Bruno's 39. Like Baltimore just picked 27 because it's his mom's birthday.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because I think historically it was always where you were in the squad, wasn't it?
Exactly
Obviously, number 1 was always in goal, but then it's like, so you wouldn't want to be 28 because it meant that there was 27 people in front of you that were getting picked before you, but that's not the case anymore. So
when I started watching, I have to go back. When I started watching soccer, when I was in Germany, when I was growing up in Germany, I'm old enough to remember when the squads you could have a squad of 25 guys, but the jerseys were always handed out depending on what position you were playing.
Yes.
So that's,
you could change. It could change from match to match. Yeah.
It always tripped me out when, for instance, David Batty was number 4. I always thought of 4 and 5 were the center backs.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you got this guy playing in midfield wearing number 4. Same with Johan Cabai wearing the number 4. I've always thought of 5 and 6 as being center back pairings, but then you see a 6 playing CDM, so 4 and 5 are all of those things. I agree. It drives me nuts when I see a right back wearing the number 3.
Right.
and Maury Donor, I'm shouting you out now, man. Here's a guy who plays right back. He played every minute of every game for the first 2 seasons for Monterey Bay, and he wore the number 3, and it drove me nuts. Our our center back was the captain, and he wore number 2. No, number 2 is the right back, and the 3 is the left back. This doesn't work like that. So no, I agree. Well, and I think with the advent of the larger squads and everything, and having to, I mean, when I first started watching the Premier League, there were only 3 subs on the bench.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Then it went to 5. Then it went to 7. Now we've got 9.
Yeah.
You know, but that's because the squads are larger and larger, and unless you get the ability to bring in more players, I don't ever want to see the way that American college soccer is played. I don't want to see open substitutions. I don't ever want to see a guy that goes off the pitch and then 5 minutes later comes back on the pitch. Once you go off the pitch, you're off.
Okay, yeah, 100%. Yeah,
but those college squads tend to be smaller.
Right.
You know, so you have to have the ability to give these guys,
and give them a rest. Exactly. Yeah.
And their clock starts at 45 and counts down.
Right.
There's no extra time at 0. That's the end of the match.
Yeah.
So that's it. Yeah. No, that was a great question. I love hearing the personal stories behind why players pick the numbers they do. I've been joking for a long time on my other show with Oz about Monterey Bay. We have a player that we just signed who wears the number 41, and I just say it's because it's his favorite Dave Matthews Band song. Because my favorite Dave Matthews Band song is the number 41. That's what it's called. Number 41. There you go.
Oh, there you go. I haven't heard of Dave Matthews Band in years. That's a blasphemy.
He has his own channel on our satellite radio system.
Oh, really?
It's the DMB channel 30, channel 31, 33, somewhere. But it's not just his music. We get jam band stuff on there too, like Fish and Goose. But they all have to be one name bands for some reason. Anyway, Eddie said he played with the number 23 on his club team before the fellow from United took it.
But that fellow was Jacob Murphy, and he's just the best person on the squad at the moment. So.
Well, and my wife will argue with you, Helen. The one that had 23 before him, of course, was Shola Amiobi.
Oh, right. Oh, yes, of course. Yes, of course.
So there you go. For everybody who commented, if we did not get to your question, I apologize. Volta Tony Timebridge says Willick's body has failed him. It goes back to the argument, if we can find out what the root cause of his injuries are, or whatever his fitness problems are, if we can get to the root cause of that and solve them and maintain that would be great. I do have a couple of things before we can go. Let me go to my media asset. Oh, and I should have had this up in the corner the whole time. If you aren't watching through Black and White Eyes, I'm going to show you the t-shirt because Dire Crow makes bespoke Newcastle United gear. They also produce shirts for Through Black and White Eyes podcast. They're available on their website. If you use the code BAZ20, and I'm going to do it as a UK person, that's spelled BAZ20. Use the code BAZ20 for 20% off. Joe Spinney and his family down there in Charlotte, North Carolina, they are fantastic. They make all this gear, and it looks great. I'm a fan of the NUFC one that uses the AC/DC font. I think that one's cool. And then the Geordieland Experience. Sparky Mark, we see Mark all the time on our channel here. If you are thinking of visiting Newcastle or the greater Newcastle area, and you don't know a whole lot about it other than about the team that plays in black and white stripes, and you want to learn some more about the area, hit up the Geordieland Experience. Between Mark and Fiona, they will get you on track, point you in the right direction, show you where to go, show you what to do, all the sights and sounds and smells and tastes that are the greater Newcastle area. What else? Let me turn that one off, and then remind everyone to like and subscribe. And no, I'm not going to do it. I know Baz always likes to show the Ted Lasso one as bye number 14, but I won't.
Oh yes.
Remind everyone.
We're done. We're moving on.
That chapter is closed. We can move on.
Exactly.
Remind everyone that this is a free channel, of course, but you can also become a member for 99p and also donate using super chats. All the money that we collect on this channel is used to pay for the hosting. Crap. My words I've said too much today. We use StreamYard as our hosting platform, so we pay for StreamYard annually that way. And then any other proceeds that we collect, we also use to entice guests that come on, and then we donate to those guests selected charities. So we've done quite a bit there over the years. And I don't have the banner. If I had the banner, I think we've spent somewhere north of 11,000 pounds. Yeah, here we go. Hold on. Here it is. We have raised 11,211 since we started the channel.
Fantastic.
And how much did we gave 500 pounds, if I remember right, Helen, the day that we met at the charity.
I think we raised about $2,000 all in all.
We did all in all. Yep. And we gave monies to Stanley Deaf Club and to Lily's Foundation.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember who else. Yeah, so all of those things. I think I've shown all the media assets that we need to share. And we look forward to having Baz with us tomorrow night. He's doing, he'll be hosting the Oil Brothers show with Martin, the Mancunian from the Mancunian Way. And then on Thursday, we'll have a look ahead for the match. Or Friday, we'll have a look ahead for the match on Saturday. And I don't think we're doing a watch along this weekend because Baz is working. And I, of course, will be hosting at the pub. So it will be hard to do with the sound in the background. We don't want to get demonetized or whatever for there. So we have several more shows coming up this week. Look forward to seeing all of you there. Helen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for the questions. My hair was getting a lot of love tonight, so thank you very much.
It was.
My ego has had a boost, if nothing else. So this has been brilliant.
The golden locks. There you go. Thank you very much for organizing the questions. Thank you for.
Of course. Thanks for everyone who submitted and everyone who's watching along and everyone who might be watching on catch up. But if people have liked this, I guess let us know and we can do more because it's been a lot of fun. So yeah. Definitely. This
was Helen's suggestion that we could put out a Q&A and see what kind of questions came in. And I think, between the two of us, I think we had a good deal of fun. I think if we got a couple more who want to be on and join us, if you're interested in being a guest on our show, hit us up. Send us an email at Through Black and White Eyes or hit me up, superfandan831@gmail.com. And let's see if we can get you on. That'll be great. I'm always looking for a bit of banter and go from there. So, Helen, all the best to you. Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you very much.
Again.
See you
Thanks
later.
all.
Bye.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
The lasers. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Away the lads and lasses. Night, Helen. Good to see you.
Good night.